Good morning. It is 10:19 a.m. I think this is possibly the first time I've ever streamed early. It is Sunday morning, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we do some Ruby on Rails coding. We build an application together, and the application we are currently working on is an event registration and ticketing application where people can organize events, and they can also buy tickets for those. And eventually, with the bit we want to get to is being able to buy tickets for groups of people, which is a fun sort of technical problem to solve. So we're a bit early today, and I don't know how long we'll be able to go because I've got to go because I'm going out and living my life doing exciting things. So let's do a couple of bits of follow-up. I have a couple of questions to get to in chat, including got to say hello and shout out to Evandro, who left a comment on the previous video. Evandro, I miss you. I love you. I will drop you an email. And I apologize for not having done so previously. Also, if anyone is watching this and is waiting for an email from me, I apologize. So that's that. Someone asked about the theme I'm using in VS Code. I just saw these this morning. I will let you know and get back to you. I don't know. I think it's like I think it's an extension one. It's installed via there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a theme stored separately. No idea what I'm using, but I'll find that out as well and reply to your comment. Probably not that quickly. All right. Okay. So let's get into it. That was a little tiny bit of follow-up, but let's just jump straight in today. So I said at the end of last week's stream that we were going to do planning today and some UI design. So that is what we want to do. And our sort of planning board is a bit empty. We use this very loosely on this live stream. Normally it's a bit of a free-for-all. We just have a Notion page that I do link to, but I sort of just do what I feel like. We've got a few things in our backlog. These are like a mixture of a few bugs that we want to fix and bits and bobs that have sort of cropped up that we know we need to get to, like we want to add root cop and things. And I think there are some good topics to cover for the stream potentially, but not today. So not in general, not feeling those today. So instead, hang on, can I bring that up here? Great. Okay, so we have our Sketch window open. And again, I will apologize because Sketch doesn't allow me to change the zoom on the UI, I don't think, in terms of like the bit around this. Obviously I can zoom in and out on the actual thing that we're designing, so I can make that nice and big for the stream, but I don't think I can change these parts around the edge. It's not like VS Code or anything like that where the actual UI gets larger size. If anyone again knows the answer to that, maybe that is the case and I'm just not sure how to do it. Gonna skim through again as I always do. No, I'm pretty sure that's it. All right. Okay. So what we want to do is we have our application here. Let's start our server up. And so we basically have a bunch of functionality, all in sort of various degrees of disarray. There's our Firefox window gone. Here we go. So we sort of want to start bringing everything together. So we've done a few of these in the past, but they sort of aren't the most Rails based and not always the most kind of the stream topics that bring themselves to the most neat amount of output within a given amount of time. So we have our application, we can sort of move through, and here we can like start making an organization. We can sign in where we would be able to see our, okay, this is where I have to try remembering that we adjusted everything last week. Didn't we put a new seed user in? I'm pretty sure we can sign in with our seed data. I was just doing all the commits for this. Users seed. We have password, but what was the email address of that password? Did we actually add any seed data in to run in DB Seeds? Yes. Okay, it's test 1, 2, 3 at example.car. Okay, so I edit just, and then I think it's this. Great. Okay, so then we have the really rough looking UI for the user area, and then obviously at the moment from the user area, I don't think you can actually get to any organizations you own. You have to go to get this bit of UI where you can toggle between the organizations you're a member of. You actually have to be an admin already, which doesn't make any sense. We should be able to link you through. I think this should exist on all headers. And we sort of made an early call when we were doing the headers that we would sort of get back to that at some point. So maybe that can go on our backlog board if it isn't. So let's do a little bit of planning as to what we're going to do. Okay, so we can add a link at the top. So I'm not writing these in any given syntax or anything. I'm just making notes. So allow our users to navigate to admin areas from admin pages from non-admin pages. So that might be that we kind of merge these two site navs or whatever they're called, and sort of they know whether the user is an admin or not, or we update the one that's non-admin to reuse some of the admin's behaviors. I'm hoping some of these are view components, and if not, they can be. We can extract that out, but we can come back to those later. Okay, great. So what does this look like in Sketch? Do we have any designs for that at the moment? So on our home page, we have like a generic site header here, which is pretty generic. It doesn't indicate you're signed in or not. It's fine. Okay. On our event pages, we've sort of done away with that. Maybe this user interface could be adapted to include that. On the event pages, this is for users booking and so registering an event. We've just got this blank header here, but I'm assuming that this is just, you can see from the little diamond symbol, this is a component. So we could double click on it and we could edit that here, and it would allow us to generate that. So again, components in Sketch should hopefully mirror pretty closely, I guess, the components that we can make as view components. We've got a page that's just called logo, which is empty, so that's no use. This one's called components, and I think this is just where Sketch plonks components. Oh no, they plonk everything in symbols or optionally, and then components is one that I've made to group the components that we're creating into these artboards. So you can see that we've got like typography. So these aren't components. I think these are just showing shared text styles or appearance styles so that you can have a reference of which one to use. And then we've got buttons, marketing buttons. We've got form controls, some sizing stuff there. Great. Okay, so let's start to tidy some of this stuff up. So this new event is an interesting one. So this we would have designed a little while ago, pretty early in our planning streams, because this is from the organizer's point of view. So you are creating your event here, and then the other page here is the flow for the user booking the ticket. So this is like the double-sided kind of two types of user that you have. And you sort of have the same problem that a lot of sites have, which is that a user can be both a creator and a consumer. So Eventbrite, we looked at some of the other competitors to how they do this. You also might like be an Airbnb, you might be a host, but you're also a guest. Loads of other services where you're both a creator of something and a consumer of other people's things, and you need to delineate pretty clearly to the user which you are at that specific point. Are you administrating this event, or are you buying tickets for it? And there are like a number of ways you can do that. But one of the ones we got to here was create a new event as an organizer. But from scratch, what we've missed off here is we introduced the idea of needing an organization. And so that cropped up last few weeks when we were building this flow out. So this, we wired up our get started button on our homepage to /organizers/getting started. And what this creates is the organization. And the reason for that was we could have done it in a different order. We could have created a dummy organization. We could have created like an interstitial table where we stored everything. We could have stored everything locally and made it all at the end on the client side. Like these are all options that we had. But what we opted for was to put the creation of the organization at the start, and then when you move through here, so we would then do like test org. You would then have a page that asks for some more information about test organization. We hadn't done a planning session, so we didn't know actually what we wanted to know. But you see that test org now exists here. And as you save, here you then create a user for that test organization. Of course, we actually already have a user, so we should be skipping that point. But that we just didn't build that in. This is just a quick version of it. It will create a user and attach that user to that organization and sign them in. It's just that was just some quick code for the stream. The journey that's currently represented in Sketch is this one here. So we had assumed here that you were starting by telling us about your event. Well, there's another flow before that, which is maybe you tell us about your organization and maybe we send you into your first event as well. So what we actually want to do is have let's duplicate this and call this, oh no, wait, sorry, it's this one. Let's call this new organization, new user, potentially new user. So maybe there is no world where we do new event without doing new organization first, so we can sort of start to make decisions like that. So we can chop these other two off. We don't know what these are yet. But here you can see that this screen, let's go back a couple. So here we have /organizer/getting started. So here I've actually written, we can't wait for your event. So the idea is, I guess while I was writing that, I had assumed you would tell us about your organization before telling us about your event. So maybe new organization is simply the first screen of a new event, but we're not quite sure what we're looking to do. So let's start to, so this we've put, we can't wait for your event. So maybe that could live here. And then again, so before we get started, tell us about your organization. So do we have anything in our components that is this idea of a subheading within a form? I don't think so. So we probably want a style for that. So we want to start putting out just a list somewhere. Just gonna check in here. So styling and design to-do list. Again, we're not following any diligence here or doing anything new. Open pages inside Peak. Use tables, boards, lists, and timelines while opening pages on the side for faster workflows. Switch to other Peak modes here. Okay. That's actually pretty cool. Center Peak. Oh, that's the old one. That would be what would happen before. Okay. Full page. And that's just going to the page. Okay, well, we can just do this one for now. So we want to say subheading, I guess. Like, is it just for forms or is it just for any or for all headings? Like you could have what did we just put this in? We just put this in a H2 or something like that. Yeah, so we just had an H1 and then an H2, but I don't think this has any styling. It's just using the default styling at the moment. But we could put a style with that. Or we could have a specific like form heading, because this all exists within our single column layout. We could have like, this is what it looks like to put a heading and a subheading at the top of a form. They could maybe use a global style. So we could say, where's Sketch gone? There we go. So, okay. I'm just going to lock that one temporarily. Or could I not lock that? Can I not lock that because it's an artboard? Oh, that's really annoying because this... Wait, what's happening there? Every time I go to click, does this have click-through turned on? Select layer form controls. So this one just immediately goes to the previous one. Okay, I'm really not sure what's happening there. Is it because... There is like a setting in Sketch to have like click through or something like that. But I can't remember where that is. Or whether you get it on components. Okay. Okay, now I can move it. Was that just a bug? That was weird. Okay, now I can move it around normally. Okay. Fine. So this is a heading in a form. So this we want to have a text style, headings, and this can be, well, we've got it as an H1 at the moment. Okay. So that should be the same as this. So how similar are these at the moment? This is 32. This is 32. Yeah, okay, great. So they are the same. Let's zoom in to make them sort of... So this is a heading and a form. I'm not sure we're actually going to want to use H2 for that, H1 for that, sorry. So then we duplicate this. This is a subheading in a form. It probably provides more context on what we're asking for. So we could probably make that a bit narrower. Gonna align them both to the left, yeah. And then this can come right in. So here, are we just giving this a generic sharing its styling with like another heading type? Because it can probably be like H4. This one could maybe be an H2 size. If I zoom out, that's us at 100% there. And this is us at 100% here. So they're both pretty readable. And the question is sort of like, when we're doing the styling for these things, do you kind of abstract away the idea of like that? I've called that H2 and because I think that's what think that's what Primer did. So style sheets. Oh, now I'm gonna have to do the thing where I remember how to read these Primer CSS index. Oh, these are all calculated anyway, aren't they? But it would be good to get the name of them. Primer CSS. And we just want typography, I guess. These are typography utilities. Yeah, they are H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. But here, for example, you might keep this as an H1 within a section of your form, because I think my memory is that each section tag can have its own H1 tag. I don't know about the SEO implications of that, but I think HTML5 wise, each section, you might have multiple forms on the page, multiple sections, that could be an H1, but you want it to look like an H2. So that might start, oh, here you go, this one here. Oh, so they actually are like, yeah, that's what you do. Looks like a heading 1, semantically a heading 2. Use F1 to F6 to change elements font size while keeping in line with our type scale. Oh, okay, so maybe you just do F. Okay, so here we've got H1, but if we were to do class F2, okay, so maybe we could just use F for that, which I think is what they're saying there is use F1 to F6 to change the element's font size while keeping in line with our type scale. But that, oh, I see, that's only the font size. That doesn't then change, like these are bold, which would make them more like headings. Okay. But you could start to do a utility style, so it could be like F2 space text dash bold. Okay. So let's use H2 then. H4. Fine. So here, does this become so this isn't a form control, but is this something that we start to turn into like a section heading component or something like that, where we're like, this is how we introduce a section of the page? I feel like that's a reasonable guess to start with, of what we might do. So these two can, so these aren't components. So what all we've done here is make loads of canvases, artboards, artboard. Are any of these, let's do that. Just making all this up. This is then section formatting, I guess. Okay. So, and then we need to make this a component. So these two together create symbol. And the symbol is section. I don't know how any of the others are named. I can't remember. So sections, and I think we are sending this to the symbols page, right? So sections, and then we'll just do header rather than heading. We'll do like default. I've forgotten all my naming stuff because I think there was like sections. So form control / brand assets / okay, so there are plurals in there. Header dash default button component / primary dash. Oh, so it's dash hover. So it's like that. Okay, so what's that little symbol there? The little right and left arrow. If I hover over it, does it say anything? No. So that's just content on resize. I'm sort of wondering, is that one that's also a component, button component primary hover? Can I zoom to this? Sorry, I'm convert symbol to upward. Oh, okay, so that, wait, what's a symbol versus a, oh no, create symbols. I've been using the word component, but Sketch's language is symbol. Okay, great. Okay, so now I've sort of created a bit of a mixed thing here, and I'll have to go through and sort them out. Some of these are in fact symbols, and some of them are artboards that right, okay, so I've moved that to there, but in fact this should exist. Cut this, cut, and then paste it into here, where it should then become, oh, it is already a symbol. Then this can go, and instead here we insert a symbol. Sections header default. Great, okay, and so that can come down and live with this. So purple equals symbol, gray equals simply an artboard that's using those symbols. Okay, fine. So in here, when we go back to our new organization, we can swap out this section header default here. Yeah, okay, and it does look too small. So maybe we do want that to be different. And then instead of typing them in here, why can't I override that? Oh, here we go. So this is a heading and form. So if we select that entire component, do we get all of the overrides? Yes. Okay, great. So you can override the text style here, but we actually don't want that because we want, okay, yeah, this is really good. Okay, so this is why designers, man, yeah, if you're doing the design and UI on something, like, it's just such a huge time suck, isn't it? So in our components in here, we want to say do not override the text style for either of these, only override the text value. So Sketch lets you specify what a consumer of a symbol, similar to a component, can override. So we are basically saying, by creating this header default, these are the styles we're going to use, and then you have to do something different if you don't want that. So when we go back to our new organization, we then shouldn't be able to override these. We can only say like we can't wait to hear about your events, and then in here we want before you can create your first event, tell us a little more about your organization. Just a note on this. And this goes all the way back up to the idea of asking users to create an organization or even having that sort of concept in the domain model of the application, one of the issues we used to bump into all the time on a real world application that used this was, let's say you have an organization like a charity, like so like cancer research or something like that in the UK. I think it's the UK's biggest charity. So when you say what organization are you creating an event for, a lot of people will type in cancer research. Well, they obviously are not cancer research. They're not running that event as part of that larger organization. They're just running a rando event and it's just them. So they're just doing something. It's sort of that big difference between something like active.com, where there is this like more professional organizer, versus something way more casual, which is like, hey, I'm doing a bake sale or, something like that. And you are only using the concept of an organization because your domain model requires it. So again, this is a real trade-off, because what you start to end up with is 50 billion bajillion organizations in your app that are basically all called the same thing, because it's all individuals just telling you that they think they are creating an organization on behalf of that an event on behalf of that organization. That's a real trade-off, because you might just say, well, that's not worth it then. We're just going to have the events exist on their own, and then you can group them sort of later, or organizations can exist as well as ad hoc events. These are all trade-offs you can make, but you need to make it clear to users what you mean when you're asking for stuff like that. And yeah, it's just another example of your domain modeling hitting the real world and people not thinking that, especially thinking that it doesn't apply to them. But that especially hurts when sort of you get non-ideal users. So you get maybe just kind of, I guess if you call them like personal customers, or like, for your own use customers, hitting a B2B product, or hitting something like a prosumer, whatever those kind of words that you use. It's like you get someone who's just trying to accomplish a simple task for themselves. They bump into software that is just not a good fit for them, but they're going to try and bend it to make it do what they want. And you see some really wonky things come in that make total sense to that person, because they're just like, I just want to achieve this goal. Your domain modeling is not not relevant to me. And then you see what they're doing and you're like, actually, you're probably not a good fit for this. This is for people running multiple events, organizing multiple things, having to have multiple administrators come and go and things like that. And how tolerant is your software of that, or your business, or all those other things. Those are fun and frustrating things. Tell us a little bit about your organization. But the reason I mention that is that this is sort of a good opportunity to start to prime that pump. Actually, this is too small, isn't it? So do we actually create variants of section heading where you have like small, medium, and large or something? Because we do just want this really big and bold. So I think we do want... can you double click to edit this? Like how do you go and change the symbol? Edit symbol I want. Create symbol. It's already a symbol, isn't it? Yes. I want to... Oh, edit source. Here we go. And so in here, I want H1. And in here... Actually, H4 might still look cool for that. So this is still default. So default is still H1. So maybe that's not the case, and maybe we have different versions of this. So let's build this one out like this. So okay, great. We can't wait to hear about your events. And let's constrain. Okay, so that's immediately a cool kind of like visual discrepancy on how that symbol's been built. So we need to make sure that this symbol, we want to pin the text to the left edge. And for this one, we're gonna send it to here. I'm gonna send that one to there. And we are going to say, I think you can do this now. So if this wraps, this one will move down, I think. How do you do that? I can't remember. I think they fixed this because you didn't used to be able to do this, and I think now you can. So I think this solves it. Okay, so text options. So let's save that and go back to our instance. Okay, so now they're on the left, but as this one wraps, okay, so it's not quite working yet. Let's edit that source again. So I think moving this should tell us what should happen. Okay, so adjust content on resize. So here, I think that should probably lock as well. Oh, it's, okay, so not fixed size, but we want to pin. Oh, let's go before we resize that. Okay, great. So this we want. Oh no, sorry. We want fixed height. There we go. This one we don't want a fixed width. We want to pin left and right. Pin left and right, so it always stays the same size. So does that now? Does that now wrap as we move left and right? It does. Okay, but it still covers the text below. So how do you do that? It's this one. That keeps the spacing the same. So auto height. I want to move this one. Or do you just not have fixed height for that? Oh wait, but that makes one of them fixed. Okay. Do you want to keep the fixed width, I think? Do I? I'm just looking to see if there's something I'm sort of missing on here or here. I want to say that as this one wraps, move this one down a consistent space. I'm not quite sure how I do that, but I believe you can now do it. Is it up here? Reusable symbol. We've already got that group. Edit layer. Edit appearance. I bet it's frustrating to watch when you know that this is possible. No, okay. Variable font, no. Auto height. Yeah, that is what we've got, auto height. Like as that, adjust that spacing. Okay, I'm just gonna Google it to see. Sketch app wrapping text in symbol spacing. Okay. Smart layout, I think. I think smart layout is what I'm looking for. Sketch app smart layout. I'll create a smart layout in Sketch. Oh my god, it's gonna make me watch a video. Resizing symbols of smart layout. Ah, okay. Right, layout is the option I'm looking for. Where's that? Here. Okay, great. So, sorry, I was looking on the individual items within a symbol, whereas it's this symbol. So I think the layout here we want is vertical, top to bottom. Is that correct? So now if we were to wrap this, let's see what happens. No, okay, it still doesn't do that. Oh, but it's only when editing overrides. Okay, whereas that is what's happening. Okay, so let's change this. Okay, so it's vertical top to bottom. Save that. Go back to our instance. Okay, so now it's better. I actually do want to change the line height of this anyway, so that's a 38 line height. So if I say this is heading in a form, this text will wrap. Okay, I guess it will look fine when it's there. The spacing here is no longer correct. Okay. Size instance to fit content. Oh, okay. So if I override them, I have to hit that and then they move appropriately. Okay. Okay, and then the rest of this stuff can come down. Sorry, we're learning about Sketch. We're learning about Sketch. This is sort of what we're supposed to be doing today. We're gonna get as usual with UI design stuff. We're gonna get nowhere near as far as I had sort of assumed or hoped, but that is fine because we are learning and that's what it's all about. So this can go then. So we're swapping this out, and this can maybe be some sort of height. So then you can just hit. Where did the little resize thing go? There, okay, but it's already that size. Okay, great. This is, again, even that is a little, it looks so large when you're looking at it in isolation, and as soon as you put it on a page, you're like, oh, actually, we've got a lot of room to fill. And I like big, spacious things. So maybe that's actually H3. In which case, this will then become... this will then not adjust content resize, and we want to just make it a bit bigger. There we can. Okay, so then we can go back to the instance. This has then been resized. Great. Okay, so that actually does look a bit more coherent. Okay, great. So what is the name of your event? What does this event start? So now we have on our original organization, we have organization name. So here, this is a label. Okay, but we actually started to introduce symbols for this. So we ended up with symbols, must be form stuff, form control, text with label, text with label and prompt, text with label. Right. Okay, but it was the small version. And so the issue is we now need to make large of these. And then you can pass it in small, medium, and large, or like default and large or something like that. So let's do that while we're here as well, because then we can do all of these three. I'm guessing we might just be able to use these or use the original ones. Let's go over to components. Let's go to... So we've got form control text, form control text with label, form control text with label and prompt, form control text large. Okay, great. So now we do have text large. We just don't have text with label large. Okay, so we want this. Can we copy and paste it? Okay, great. So we can take this text, but it's at right. Naming wise, this isn't correct, is it? Because it's actually, we sort of need like a separate set of modifiers, unless a hyphen indicates just each one is an individual modifier. So one is text with label, one is then text with label large. Okay, so this doesn't use form control text, it uses form control text large, so that gets bigger. which means that the entire thing needs to get a bit bigger. And does this still use the same size label, or is it a bigger label? So what did we do on the new organization? That is just label. So it's the same one. And in here, this is still just forms label. Okay, so it's actually just a spacing issue. So that and that are 12 apart. If we go back to our commands, I wonder how like, is anyone following any of this? Is this making any sense? Don't know. So 6. Okay, so that's actually 12 in our real world version. And we need to map. Can we resize the... Can we just tell the artboard to be the size of its content? Does it just snap to that automatically? Oh, I guess that does have a little shadow on it, doesn't it? Like that, I guess. So let's go back then. New organization. And this becomes text with label large. Boom. So does that line up with that? In fact, we can... Oh, it's actually with label. Does the with place, do they all have with placeholder? Yeah, text large just has placeholder in. We haven't got a separate with placeholder. No, it's with prompt. Okay, great. So we can go to new organization. And we can say here. I don't think we do want to let them be able to swap what that is either, do we? So if we go to edit source, I think here we're not going to let you change that text style. I think we're just going to let you change the text. Control text. I don't think we're going to let you change that symbol either. I think that's probably going to be the same for all of these. I think you shouldn't be able to change a lot of these. Because if you need to change them, you're not really using the symbol. Again, I apologize for how small the UI might be on some of these. So let's swap a lot of these out. So I've already done that one, for example. So we're sort of really locking down these symbols on what people can do. Okay, so some of them have already been done. That's great. So then when we go back to our new organization page and I'm here, all I can change is the placeholder text, for which I want none at the moment because I haven't thought of any. And here we can say, here. And so this is a great shout. So we need to do the same thing. If you look as we resize this, we're getting weird behavior. So we need to do the same thing as we did before, which is clarify how this all works when you resize it. So here we are going to pin the thing to the left and right. A label, we're going to go full width, and we're also going to pin that to the left and right. Oh, but that's fixed width. Okay, I don't think it needs to be fixed width. We can just pin it left and right. We also want to pin it to the top. And here we are going to say that this is a vertical because we want, if the label is really long, it might drop. It might wrap. So I think we want vertical down. Okay, so let's save that. Go back to new organization and see how that's changed. Then we can pop this. Great. Okay, so that's now wrapped. But we think that this is going to be wider. 3, 4, 9. Again, we'd have to work out what we think those valid widths are going to be. Now, why is that? This is text large, but this is text large. So we don't think this should have changed size. If you look, the text box there is a different height. I don't think that should have happened. So I think that's an issue. Oops. Here, this shouldn't be allowed to change size. So that should be fixed size height, but not fixed size width. Let's then go back. Resize that again. Yep, so we think that's pretty much same. Close enough, because this is just made up. So that can go, and now this can come under here. So what we now have is what was previously a group of unconnected things. We now have this as a component. This is called sections header default. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. And this is a component called form control text with label. Large. That's now got the wrong name, actually. So you can override the symbol there when in fact... So text with label, we don't want you to be able to override that symbol. We should make you... Oh no, we have swapped it out. But it just hasn't done the right size, so we can just add that in, I guess. Fine. So if we then want to do the next one down, it gets way easier, because here we can just do... Well, we don't have what time does your event start, because we're asking about the organization, but we could put what time does the event start in this override, what time does your event end. And at the moment, these are all separate, all the placeholders are separate, so these can all go, but replacing them would be way easier, because now we have that symbol. And we could even have like a mega or an ultra, because that's not that large. The name of your organization. And this we could have, does this have like a, yeah, great. We need to work out a standardized spacing for some of these. And then this could be vertically aligned. All right, I have to jump. I'm going to give it another 10-15 minutes. So what we want to sort of be able to do is turn this into a view component and this into a view component. I think we might actually have the form one already. I can't remember. What I also want to do is how would we do this big layout? So could we use... this would be kind of fun to do in CSS, I think. Because we started using the CSS grid API a little while ago, but maybe this would just simply be Flexbox because it's just two columns. Sorry, two things. I've already forgotten. We use the grid layout for the top of the event page, the public viewable event page. And that was because as something else moved, we wanted something to always stay underneath something else. So we basically changed the number of grids. I can't remember the rows and columns like at each viewport, and it just worked. It was very straightforward and worked. Here, however, we're only just going to have this is a horizontal layout, and I'm assuming it would just jump to horizontal, like on mobile. I'm guessing. This could all go, I guess, and then this could. Well, that could become a symbol on the page, but we'll kind of worry about that separately. You can have a symbols full of symbols, and let's see how this resizes itself like that. This one stays the same. Just adjusting some of the spacing. Just being pretty arbitrary about some of this stuff. This gets collapsed a bit. All right, so now we have a very quickie mobile view of that. But how would this part work? Maybe we would have this come over here and we would, is this got, oh crap, I've moved the other one. Hang on a second, I didn't mean to do any of that. All right, let's take this, let's copy it and paste it onto this. Okay, and we sort of just want to make a mask. Is that what these are? No, we can make a separate one. That can mask like that. And we can sort of mask it centered, I guess. So we can take it to full width. Viewport, sort of want to pick an image. I know these days you don't have to do that because the new API means you can do cool stuff, but potentially just some feet is cool. Or yeah, feet's cool. And then these could potentially come over as well. So these could be. This could actually work really. So this can also then obviously get longer, so you can see all of this fantastic branding stuff that you're doing. But maybe this even starts to, I don't know, this is dumb, I guess, but oops. Sort of want to say, why is that so long? And then there were other rectangles, or did I not bring them over? Oh, they're here. I didn't make it. Oops. Come over here. Maybe maybe each one of these is like a little branding thing, but each one knows how to resize itself. So all the little colored blocks, the little things always do cool little transitions. That would be fun. So as you like move your viewport, these little blocks go whoop, and like move to new cool little spaces on a mobile layout. I don't know, something cool. But this could even, okay, so maybe then this mask actually stays bigger just to keep the text size. So then as you do the image, as you keep the image centered, where's center? Here. Yeah, and maybe there's still, maybe on here there is still like the site header. Well, this is where we started this stream at. So in here, maybe there's symbols, site nav, I think I called it, site header, default wide, right? So we don't have the other one, so this could still stay. We talk about maybe removing it to get the oh, whoops, I've just moved that without moving the others. Actually, let's move that down. I think when we were designing this, we talked about like not having the header because you want like 0 distractions, but you know, your mileage may vary on all those things. But then here, you could also extend this out, and still, well, then you'd need to tidy up a little bit. Maybe they could all end in the same place. You have to do some tidying up. Whatever. And then you could still keep your site footer, but maybe have the equivalent of this box to do a shadow, so it sort of indicates that you're within there. So you could do keep this as a white box. What am I doing? Come on. Right, this little lag. So that still has a shadow. It is -2, but it's like nothing. Do like 20, so it's like 0.2. Well, you could actually do, can we copy the shadow from this box? Rectangle, shadows. You can do a copy style, I think you can do copy style. Then in here, paste style. Yeah, paste style. And then instead of Y2, we can just do Y -2, so we end up with the same shadow. Maybe that works, maybe it looks awful. Who knows? Did we end up with a footer anywhere? No. But maybe there is. Maybe there is one, and it has the usual stuff in it. Like, Yes, maybe it has like home. I don't know, you know, usual stuff. And then we could have like little they usually have columns in, don't they, and stuff like that. But that could even kind of keep a subtle color on that, maybe. It's off have an official footer. Just to differentiate it a little bit. You could even lose that shadow, maybe. I don't know. You need to spend some actual time on the design of that. But that would maybe help you delineate it from the rest of the page. Or it could be this cool... oh, actually, it could even have like these things in all the time. That could be kind of cool. I have no idea if that would be cool or not. It might look really stupid and rubbish. Things like this could stick around. I bet that would be. I bet you'd start working on layouts where things got close to the bottom of the page and things like that became a real pain in the ass. But you could do something like that. Would be fun. And like this was persistent. I don't know what you we're gonna do. Okay, so it's 21 past. I've got to go in a minute. But I want to build this out. Okay, so we're gonna keep going with this. So this is gonna become. What we could do is build this out as our setup flow. So what we spoke about when we built this out on the code side was we had this idea of this organization setup. So we originally create the resource, which in this case is an organization. We would then go through these setup steps, but we could do the same thing for an event or something like that. But maybe this is the UI we use for those, like it's fully branded and has cool pictures and stuff. Whereas when you're in the admin area, you don't want that. You sort of want to, we had some admin UI stuff somewhere. Which I can't remember here. Yeah, there's like admin UI stuff where you don't, I mean, this is all like just example code, but like you don't want to switch to full branded setup. Whereas this could be like the user facing, maybe this could be like a branded setup or something like that. But what you could also do is have this, I can't see really what would be the huge advantage, but you could have this as like a turbo frame and maybe it just sends an event as you're moving the user through. I think, to be honest, there's not a huge cost in just having separate views, but you could, because you'd probably want to swap out potentially like this text here, because it would be like, you're on the second step, you're on the third step. Maybe swap out the picture as well. So maybe that's not a huge advantage to that. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. All right, I've got to go. But this was fun because I've really enjoyed being back in Sketch. Every time I don't do this, I realize how fun it is. Like, I think I would love to do that for a day job. I think it'd be really fun to be in Sketch all day. That's it. All right, that's it. Let's do some more next week. Actually, I might try and do some of this during the week because I really enjoy this Sketch stuff. It would be fun to come back with a full, and it's kind of annoying that we don't have all of these components just built already, so that we're like making changes to them. We're not adjusting to them. We're actually realizing what's missing and having to fix it, which is frustrating, rather than just getting it fixed. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who has dropped by. Thank you to anyone who's dropped a comment in there. Like I said, I am aware that I'm going to drop some people some emails this week. So apologies if you are one of those people. We're going to do more Sketch and ViewComponent stuff. I'm sorry we didn't get into the ViewComponent stuff this week. Just didn't have enough time, but I have got to go. We will pick it up next week and kind of drag this forward a bit. Designing slow. Slow UI design, really slow. Have wonderful weeks. Enjoy the heat and the warmth if you are in the UK heat wave. I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.